Hey friends, this is Effa here with Noceans Media, bringing you a wave of creativity. Now, today I'm going to talk about Adobe's Photoshop. Now, Photoshop is the industry standard application for imaging and design. I mean, you can do anything you want with Photoshop. Photo retouching, image manipulation, compositing, design, short animations, 3D. I mean, the list goes on. You can literally, if you can think of it, you can do it in Photoshop, literally. But in order to get the most out of your experience, you need to have a firm understanding of how to navigate the application and use the different features. So today I'm just going to give a basic overview of the layout of the interface and go over a few of the tools and what they can be used for. So when you open up your Photoshop for the first time, it will probably look something like this. Now, just so everybody knows, I am working off of a Mac platform. However, PC should translate just the same with all the things we're doing, and we'll probably try and talk from a PC standpoint too when we talk about different keyboard options and things like that. But so yeah, when you start off, you have your main menu bar, which kind of has all these little drop downs. You'll go to these drop downs often. So getting familiar with them is going to be really, really imperative to your success in Photoshop. But we're not going to go into detail in each of these because they are pretty extensive. But you will learn more about them as we do more tutorials, because you'll get to see what we use and kind of understand what they can be used for and stuff like that. So that's the main menu bar. Then we have what I call the tools bar. The tools bar is this bar right here on the left side that has all the main tools that you'll use as you're using Photoshop. Really, really great that they put it like that. It really helps you kind of break things up. They have things separated naturally, kind of, and I think that it's very good the way that they have things separated. I think that it works really well. Then you have the tools menu. So as you select each tool kind of individually, like right now we are selected on the move tool. Right here it has the menu for that tool. So as I switch through these tools, you'll see that the menu switches along with those tools. So it kind of gives you what you'll be able to do with that tool. It gives you that right there in that menu. Then you have these tabs menus. Now, all these tabs menus and pretty much every menu in Photoshop is completely customizable. But these tab menus, some of them pop out depending on how you have them laid out. Some of them are just regular tabs like this. But you can move and adjust any of these. So I can put my libraries down here if I wanted to. I could put my libraries back up here. I could move my libraries over to this bar. Or if I really wanted to, I could make my libraries its own bar and start moving things. Or I could take my libraries and make it independent, or I can just drag it around. It can be wherever I want it to be. I can add my libraries over here to this side if I wanted to. You can take any of these tabs and completely customize them, which makes Photoshop really, really, really user-friendly because you can create your own workspace and do what works for you. If you wanted to put your libraries at the bottom of the screen, you can absolutely do that. And then it becomes completely your own layout. And you can save layouts by coming up here to this little drop down in the corner and making a new workspace. So you would make your workspace and then save it. And then you can have it be however you want it to. Now, Photoshop does come with a couple of different presets when it comes to user interfaces. And so, like, let's say if I was working on photography, I'd probably select this photography one, and that's kind of their thought process on what you would need while you're doing photography work. They have one for typography, painting, motion, 3D, and then just the bare essentials. I usually stay on essentials because I do a lot of different use cases. So this is more of a generic layout that can work for kind of any scenario. But again, you could make your own workspace if you wanted to. And yeah, it makes it really user-friendly and really functional. The other thing you have on these toolbars and menus is these little expand and collapse buttons. If you ever needed to expand a menu, like there's this short menu right here, you can expand that and kind of see things in a larger perspective. Or you can collapse it if it's getting in the way. If you needed more space, you can collapse things. You can also resize by kind of coming into these little lines in between, and you can resize different areas and shrink different areas as needed. So you can always move those around however you would like to. And kind of, it's always these thicker gray lines that are in between things, but you can kind of make things how you'd like them to be. And again, fully customizable. So it's really, really great when you can just kind of move things around and go, oh, I don't want that there, I want that here. Or, oh, I want this, over here. There's also this little drop down on each one of these different tabs menus that kind of gives you some other options inside of there. I don't really use those much, but sometimes I do. So as we go through more tutorials, like I said, you'll kind of get more of the knowledge of some of these main menus and some of these drop-down menus that are available. Now, the other thing that Photoshop has done really, really well, and I just kudos to Adobe, because not every application works like this, but all of the Adobe applications work like this. They give tooltips for just about every selection button that you have. So if you hover over, like if you just take your mouse and just hover over anything that you can select, a little tooltip will pop up, and that tells you kind of what's going on with that button, what it does, or what shortcut key it could be. I mean, every little option in Photoshop that you can select literally has a tooltip, and they do that in every application that Adobe designs. And I mean, it's just amazing that I can, if I want to learn something, I can literally just open it up and then just start hovering over things and get really a good understanding of what's going on where and how to use different things. That's kudos to Adobe. Now, earlier I was kind of scrolling through some of these menu items pretty quickly, and that's because of a thing called shortcut keys. Photoshop has these shortcut keys, and all the Adobe platforms have shortcut keys that kind of coincide too as you go between application to application. So it makes it really, really functional for your workflow. Now, if you're not using shortcut keys, I want to just take this moment to say, please, 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 for your own sake, start to learn your shortcut keys, because it makes your workflow and your process that much faster. I mean, everything, it's like a new world when you start learning your shortcut keys. How fast and how efficient you can be it's like light years. Before I started using shortcut keys, it took me forever to do everything. Now that I use shortcut keys often, it really has sped up my workflow and my turnaround for client projects, self projects, everything. So we'll go over these. So right now I'm on the move tool, and that of course moves layers around. You have the marquee tool, which is a selection tool. The lasso tool is also a selection tool, but this is a freeform selection tool, so you can kind of draw what you want to select. The magic wand is a point sample selection tool, so it will sample a point that you click and kind of select based off of that point. You have the crop tool, which you can crop your canvases to different sizes. You have, where am I at? The eyedropper. I should probably be telling you these shortcut keys. Let's start over. So the move tool is the letter V. The marquee tool is M, the letter M. Then you have the lasso tool, which is the letter L. The magic wand, which is W. The crop tool is the letter C. The eyedropper is the letter I, and the eyedropper selects colors. So you can select a color from a certain point, and then it will load into your foreground or your background color, whichever one you want it to be on. Then you have the spot healing tool, which is the letter J. Spot healing can be used for a number of different things. Mainly it's used in photo retouching. So if you want to remove acne or reduce wrinkles, crow's feet, just any kind of spot healing, that's what that's going to be for. Then you have your paintbrush, which is the letter B. You have your clone stamp. Now the clone stamp is a little different than the spot healing brush, but it's kind of used in the same way where you can kind of mask things out. The clone stamp, you're going to select a point on your image or on your canvas and kind of put that point into a different area. So it's pretty cool the way that works. You have your history brush. I actually never use this tool, but I probably should. But yeah, the history brush just paints into the history, so it kind of undoes what you've done. You have your eraser, which is self-explanatory. Your paint bucket is, your history brush is Y. Your eraser is the letter E. The paint bucket is the letter G. Then you have your blur tool, which is this little teardrop. There's actually no shortcut key for that, so you actually will always have to select that. And there's blur, there's sharpen, and there's smudge. Those are also filters that you can find in your filter, but they actually have a tool here for it, which is, thank you Adobe for doing that. You have your dodge tool. We'll talk about why you would use that and when later. The dodge tool is the letter O. You have your pen tool, which is the letter P. The pen tool can be used for many different things. It can be used to make selections. You can make masks. You can draw shapes with it. It's just very, very functional. You have your text type tool, which is the letter T, and you can use this to write out words, put font on the screen. You have a path selection tool, which is the letter A. You have your shape tool, which is the letter U. You have your hand tool, which is the letter H. You have the zoom tool, which is the letter Z. And then you have your foreground and background color, which is the letter X. You can swap between foreground or background color by pressing the letter X. And so, yeah, that's all your tools on your tools bar, and kind of a brief overview of what they do. Now, again, your user experience in Photoshop is going to get better when you understand the layout, where things are, and how to use them. And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns or critiques, please leave us a message and we will respond to you. But also, if you want to learn more about Photoshop or any of the other Adobe programs that are available, then don't forget to subscribe to be sure that you get all our future tutorials. We'll be talking about Photoshop more, Lightroom, After Effects, Dreamweaver, Adobe InDesign. We'll be talking about Flash, everything Adobe. We will have a tutorial on, at least one, if not many, just to give people a brief overview, or even more some in-depth usages with the different Adobe applications. I think that I'm a big fan of Adobe products. I've used other products, but there's just something about the way that Adobe has created the seamless flow between applications that just makes the user experience and the workflow that much faster. So this is Effa again with Noceans, bringing you a wave of creativity. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope to see you in some future ones.